What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to go over 10 books that I bought on eBay to flip back on Amazon using a software called Flipmine. But before we get started, I just want to let you know that I do have a free Discord with a whole bunch of like-minded people, so if they interest you, click the link below. Alright, the first book that we sold is called The Community and Public Health Nursing Book. You can see that I bought this over on eBay for $30 plus $5 or $6 shipping. You can also see that I sold it down here for $77.47, which left us with a profit around $16. Now I'm over here on the product detail page. You can see that the lowest used price of this book right now is about $63.95. And you can see over here on SellerAmp that the estimated sales is about 106 sales per month, that the BSR, which is called the best sellers rank, is about 150K, which is top 1%, really good. And I went ahead and put in my buy cost $37 and the sales price $77.47, and you can see that left me with a profit of about $16. Now, if you're doing online book arbitrage, I'd always recommend that you look at Keepa. I wouldn't just say always look at SellerAmp. It is a good tool for sure to use. I do have a link below if you do want to use it, but definitely look at Keepa because that's going to give you a much better, accurate description of this book. So one thing that I first like to look at is that black line, which is the lowest used price. I want that black line to be quite consistent, and I also want it to be well above the purchase price of the book over on eBay. So clearly you can see that this book in use condition selling for well over $60, and it can go even north of that, all the way up to $70, even up to $75. And when you take a look at the sales rank here, you can totally see that that sales rank is getting really, really low, especially during these textbook season months. But in general, this book's sales rank doesn't go above $500,000, which means this book is moving and it's moving quick. So that book definitely was a great flip because it left us about a 43% ROI, which is great. All right, this next book set is really interesting. I bought this book set for $116.93. You can see that I sold it over here on Amazon for $255.46. I actually merchant fulfilled this because at the time there wasn't really anything in stock. So I want to get mine listed as soon as possible because I want to take advantage of the fact that nobody had this listed on Amazon. This is a fiction book set, which is really surprising because most fiction is not really worth anything, but clearly this Court of Thorns and Roses box set has some value. Now again, looking over here at SellerAmp, you can see that the best sellers rank right now is about 500,000, which is good. You can see the estimated sales, which is a little bit inaccurate here. And you can see that this is the actual cost price and my real sales price. So you can see I profited about $98 and an 84% ROI. Now, if we take a look at this Keepa chart, it's actually wild. It's all over the place. But what I did notice is back here in March, May, and June, when this book was selling much more frequently, in other words, when the sales rank was dropping pretty consistently, the lowest used price of this book was right around $200, which means that this book set was moving for about $200. So I felt pretty confident that if I was going to buy this over on eBay for about $117, that there definitely wasn't any way that I was going to lose money. Now, if we just come down here and look at about 3 months worth of data, we can see that a couple sales rank drops as well. Honestly, this Keepa graph looks a little bit weird. Like the sales rank normally doesn't look like this, but clearly you can see that the sales rank dropped here, which indicates that the book sold here in new condition for about 220. One way that I know that is you can see that the new offer count below went from 1 to 0. And then the lowest third-party new price actually dropped off the graph. So person who bought that in new condition. And then you can actually see where I actually sold the book here, which is right around $250. Now, if you go back a little bit further in time, you can see that there were a few more sales rank drops here. This one is right around $244. This one here is probably about $117. Another one here about $244. And then another one right here, right around $57. So clearly this is a book set that had value. I went ahead and listed mine actually really high because like I mentioned, when I got this in inventory, I was actually the only person in stock. So you can see I came in stock right here at $499.99. I wanted to see if I could get a crazy amount of money because if you head over here to eBay, and then if you go down here to sold comps, you could see that there are a couple sales even on eBay, right here, open box for $214 plus shipping. And then you can also see one here for $300 and another one here for $400 in new condition. Before we move on to the next book, I just want to let you know that if you are interested in trying Flipmine, you can use my link below for a free trial. It's by far the best way to support the channel because it doesn't cost you anything, and also it does support me. So it is $49 a month. It is pretty expensive, but on the other hand, I definitely find good books with it, and it easily pays for itself. All right, this third book that we're going to talk about is absolutely insane because this is a book that was just completely mispriced by a seller, and honestly, that's what you're trying to find on eBay. You're trying to find someone who either doesn't know what they're listing or they just make a pricing mistake, and this was one of them. So here, I bought this book for $5.75 with free shipping, and you can see that I flipped this for $150 over here on Amazon. Again, looking over here at SellerAmp, you can see that the estimated sales about 5 per month. The sales rank on this is a little bit higher, so it's over a million rank. And you can see that I sold this for 150 bucks. The ROI potential on this was insane, or almost 2,000%. So definitely an amazing flip. You can see over here on the right that we have a merchant seller currently in the buy box. And the way that we know that is this says plus $3.99 shipping. If it was a prime seller, it would say prime free shipping. Now heading down to the keep a chart, one thing that I noticed is that the sales rank of this book just doesn't really drop a lot, which means it doesn't sell a ton. You could actually count how many times this book has sold in the last year. And if you were to count each of these sales rank drop, it's probably around 10 or 12 times in the last year, which honestly is not that much. However, what you do notice is that when the sales rank is dropping, the use price of this book is actually quite high. Most of the time it's well above $100. And so if you look at when the sales rank is dropping and you overlap that with the price, you can actually try to figure out what the book was selling for. So, here's a sell in here for about $242. Here's a sell for $298. And then we have some more recent sells. Here's one for $295. Go back a little bit. Here's a sell for $124. We can also expand the data a little bit to see what this book was selling for in the past. And you can also see that, Amazon in the past was on the listing and they were selling this for right around $100. Then they went out of stock back in January of 2021. They've never been in stock since then. And you can see that there are still a number of sales rank drops well over $100. So clearly this was just a home run. Someone clearly didn't know how to price this, and we were able to pick it up and make a pretty insane return on this. All right, the fourth book we're going to look at is a bar exam review book. Bought this for $30 plus shipping. Sold this over on Amazon for $99.99. So let's go look at it. Over here in Seller Ramp, you can see that the bestseller rank is right around 376,000, which is really good. Estimated monthly sales, which again, tend to not be super accurate when the sales rank becomes higher, is about 16. And then you can see that, here's what I bought the book for, $35.88 with shipping included, and then sold this for $99 for about a $37 profit. Now you can actually see over here on the Amazon listing that the buy box price is actually even above what I sold the book for. It's about $114.50. And let's scroll down to the keep chart. This keep chart is also very solid. The sales rank is very good on this. It's dropping, which means the book is selling. And again, if we look at the lowest use price, which is this black line, you can clearly see that it's basically hugging the Amazon new price. And what that tells us is that this book holds a lot of value, because if this book in used condition is basically the same price as it is in new condition, clearly there is a used market out there where people are willing to pay pretty good money to get this just in used or new condition. Now, what's really interesting is that if you look at the 3-month data, you can actually see that Amazon went out of stock. And as soon as Amazon went out of stock, you can see that the third-party news sellers raised their price pretty significant, all the way up to about $176. The lowest use price still stayed right around $82. And then recently, you can actually see that it's now gone up to $108. But totally, this was a great flip, because spent about 36, made about 36, 100% ROI, and this thing moved really fast. Next book we're going to look at is this Estimating Excavation book. I bought this over on eBay for $35.28 shipped. And you can see over here on Amazon, we sold it for $99.99. Again, over here in Seller App, you can see that the best sellers rank is 546,000, which is top 1%. That's really good. That means that this book is moving. It's actually selling. The estimated sales here is about 10 a month, which again is a little bit inaccurate, but you can see that I put my buy cost here at $35.28, flipped it for $99.99. We made over 100% ROI. Now, we sold this book for well above the current buy box price, but again, one thing that you notice is that this has plus $4.25 shipping, which means that this is not a prime offer. And if we click this use button right here, you can actually take a look over here at the offers, and if we click the filter button, you see that there is no prime option, which means that currently there are no prime sellers, but you can see that there's only a few copies before this goes up to $100. Now, again, we always want to look at the keep it chart, because that's always going to tell us a better story about the product. So again, look at the sales rank. Clearly it is dropping, which indicates that the book is selling. If we look at that black line again, which is the lowest use price, you can see that in the recent past, it's been right around $70. Now, if we go back a little bit further back in time and we zoom in maybe the last 3 or 4 years, you can see that it's pretty wild. This has been all over the place. It's been up to $150 plus. It's even been lower to that. So clearly this has seen some volatility, but it has some inherent value, because it definitely is north of 50, north of 70, basically the whole time. Now, one of the reasons why we see this used price come down is just due to this offer count down here. So if you look at this black line at the bottom graph, which is the used offer count, notice how this is starting to rise over time. And generally, when you have products that don't move very quickly and you see their used offer count rise, which simply just means that there are more sellers selling that product, then everyone's going to be much more competitive with their pricing. And that just means that you should see the price of that fall over time. Now, despite this being about $65 or $70 at the lowest use price, I was able to exploit the buy box a little bit, sell mine for $99.99, and make 100% ROI. Now, this next book was actually a fun one because it was a little bit of a gamble. So I bought this one over here for $7.75. Free shipping. You can see that I sold this for $89.99. That left us with a profit of $58. Now, the reason why I said this one was a little bit of a gamble is because the sales rank of this book was not very good. It's about 1.8 million, which is not a terrible sales rank, but when we look at the keep it chart below, you'll see that it just really hadn't sold much. You can see that Seller Amp is giving this an estimated 1 per month sale, which is actually much lower than that. In reality, cost price $7.75, sold it for $90, and you can see it made about a $57 profit. Now you can look over here at the buy box. Right now there is a buy box user right around $73. You can also see that there is a newer edition of this book in stock, which is one of the reasons why this was a little bit of a gamble. Now, heading down here to the Keepa chart, some things that are really interesting is that this book has actually only sold about 3 times, including the book that I sold just recently in the past year. So this is a book that really hasn't moved. But if we look a little bit further back in the time, you can see that this book definitely was selling. Now, again, this used to be the newest edition until the newer edition came out. So obviously it was much more relevant back in time. But, I thought that I bought it so cheap that there was still potential that I could probably flip it for about 40 or 50 bucks. And luckily I was able to sell it for $89.99. Next up on our list was this building construction for the fire service. Bought this over on eBay for $17.99, flipped it for $89.42, and made about a $50 profit. Now over here in Seller Amp, again, you can see that this is also a very high sales rank. So this was something that's not really moving much. It's about 1.5 million. Currently right now, you can see that the estimated sales velocity is about 2 per month, which again is probably not going to be super accurate here. But cost price was $17.99, flipped it for $89.42, and that left us with about a 280% ROI. Now over here on the right, you can see that currently there is an Amazon Prime sale in the buy box at about $89, and you can see that there's basically 5 offers starting from $85, and then it just goes up from there. Now again, we got to look at this Keepa chart to see the full breadth of the history of this book, and you can again probably count the number of sales rank drops on your hand, maybe about 8 or so sales rank drops there, which means that this book has only sold about 7 or 8 times in the last year. However, again, if we look at that black used price, which indicates the lowest used price from a merchant or FBA at that time, you can totally see that when this book was selling, it was selling for quite a bit of money. So, this sale right here is for about $183. You can see that these sales back here are about $96 and also $147. So clearly this was a book that, even if I go back a little bit further in time, even though it's a book that's not moving a lot, it definitely is a book that's selling for some considerable amount of money. And considering that my buy cost is so cheap in comparison to the potential return, I was definitely happy to pull the trigger on this one. Now, one other reason why I was comfortable buying this was that the publication date of this book was 2014, and it was still selling to this date. I couldn't actually find a new listing because usually those newer editions would be attached to this listing right here. So this is the most current edition of this book, which means that if somebody's in school and they are learning the subject, they're definitely going to need this one because it is the most current one. All right, next book here is called Neum Jamaica. Probably mispronouncing that, but I bought this over here for $12.50 plus shipping. Sold this over here on Amazon for $79.99 for a $35 profit. Now again, looking over here at Seller Amp, the best sellers rank of this book is actually pretty high. It's about 2 million, which is about the top 3%, which is starting to get up there for sure. Estimated monthly sales about 1 per month. And you can see, I bought this for $18, sold for $79.99. That left me with a $35 profit and a 200% ROI. Now again, looking over here at the buy box price, you can see that this is clearly a merchant fulfilled seller. See, this has $3.99 shipping. So you can see that the buy box is currently actually more expensive than what I sold it for. And you can see that all the used offers are actually well above what I sold the book for. Now again, let's head down to the Keepa chart. And one thing that you're probably noticing is that I tend to buy books that have higher sales ranks. And when I do show you my Flipmine filters in the end of this video, I usually like to go up to 2 million. And the reason why I like to go up to 2 million is because there's plenty of opportunity there. Obviously, the books are going to take a little bit longer to sell, but some of the returns on these books can be pretty insane. So again, let's take a look at the sales rank. Clearly, the sales rank is dropping, which indicates that the book is selling. Now, if we take a look at that black line, which is the lowest used merchant offer, again, you see that it's very healthy. It's right around $80, and it's really never been lower than that, which means that if the sales rank is dropping and the lowest use price is at least $80, then all these sales are at least $80 in use condition. Basically ended up just selling it for right around what it was selling for in the past, $79.99, and that made a $35 profit. Next up on our list, we have this book, the Ottoman book. I bought this over on eBay for $30 plus shipping, sold this for $156.95 on Amazon for an $82 profit. Now, if we go over here to Seller Amp, you can see that the BSR of this book is a little bit better. It's about 1.4 million, which is top 2%. You can see the estimated monthly sales about 2, which again, not great. And again, that's not going to be super accurate for books that are moving much more slowly. But I bought this for $37.21, flipped it for the $156.95. That made a profit of about $82 and a 220% return on investment. Now, one thing that's really interesting is that there is actually no buy box price over here, which means that Amazon is suppressing the buy box. That simply just means that they think all the sellers are asking way too much money for this book, and they're not willing to give anyone the buy box. So what you can see is that it looks like there are 5 used offers for as low as $155. There's one collectible offer for $1,870. Highly doubt that that is actually worth it. but people can price their book for whatever they want on Amazon. So that's probably why it's so high. Now let's go down here to the Keep It chart. Again, notice that the sales rank is dropping. Clearly, this seems to be dropping a little bit more than some of the other books that we've been seeing. Now again, look at that black line, which represents the lowest used price over time. And what we can see is that basically this book has held quite a bit of value. It's right around $130 plus year round. It's not selling every day, but it is definitely selling every month, and it's definitely selling pretty decently. So this one was an absolute no-brainer. It's completely undervalued on eBay. Bought it for 37, flipped it for 156, and made a pretty incredible profit. Next book we're going to talk about is the Sampling of Populations book. Bought this over here for $17 on eBay. Flipped it for $94.12 over here on Amazon for a $52 profit. Coming over here at SellerAmp, we got a 1.6 million BSR, which again is not amazing. 3 estimated per month sales. Bought this for 17, flipped it for 94, and you can see there's the $52 profit and the 310% ROI. Now you can see that this product has a new buy box for $152, and it also has this used buy box down here for about 98. Again, if we look at the Keep It chart, this will explain why I bought the book. So again, I hope you see that this is completely undervalued because this book was moving for about $90+ pretty much year round, with the exception of this one part right here. And again, buying this for 17, completely undervalued. All I had to do is send it back in and sell it for what it's worth, and I'd make some pretty good money. The last book that we're going to look at before we hop over into Flipmine is the Skyrim official game guide. Bought this over here on eBay for $44.95 plus shipping. Sold it for $175, and that left us with an $84 profit. Now over here in SellerAmp, this is definitely a much better product. 800,000 rank. You can see top 1%, 7 estimated monthly sales. Bought this for 49, flipped it for 175, and that gave us that 170% ROI. Now again, if we take a peek over here to the buy box, there is a new buy box for $339, and then there's the used buy box for $139.99 right now. Scroll down to Keepa, and again, what you can see is that the sales rank is dropping pretty regularly, which means that it is selling. Again, all we gotta do is look at that black used line to see what was the book selling for. And in the past 5 or 6 months, as this used offer count has started rising down here, meaning as more and more sellers have listed this item for sale, we can see that the price has started to come down a bit, but still it's right around 80 or so bucks. It's pretty healthy. Now I was actually able to exploit the buy box a little bit, which means I was able to sell mine as a prime seller for significantly more than the lowest merchant. But one of the reasons why I was able to exploit the buy box so much was because this book already had a recorded history of selling for basically what I had sold it for. So you can see all these sales back here in June and July, all above $200 here. Some sales down over here above $175 or more. So clearly this is a book that had the potential to sell for what I was asking for, and it sold, made some pretty good money. Okay, so I imagine you're wondering, how the heck, Joji, did you find all these books? Well, I used it using a software called Flipmine. Costs about $49 a month. Again, if you wanted to support the channel, easiest way to do that would be use my link below, get a free trial, no cost to you. But essentially, all this does is it looks for listings on eBay, compares them to Amazon, and tries to find price differentials between them. Now over here, these are the exact values that I use to find these books. Now, one of the things you'll realize right away is I'm looking for sales ranks up to 2 million in rank. And that's because, I tend to like books that take a little bit longer to sell, but have a lot of potential for a great ROI flip. I'm looking for Amazon having a price greater than $85, which means I'm looking for books that have or hold some value. I'm calculating profit based upon a 180-day moving average, and I'm also filtering the sales rank from that 180-day moving average. Now, you have the option to go ahead and click this little notch over here if you want to go ahead and move any of these columns around. This is the way that I like to see. I like to look at the profit, the ROI, and then compare the eBay price to the inferred lowest merchant offer. And so you can see that basically this is what I'm looking at as I scroll down. Now, when it comes to finding a good deal, really what I'm looking for is a difference in price between these two numbers and a potential high profit. Now, I will warn you, a lot of the time on Flipmine, the data is inaccurate. So don't let that discourage you. Just know that this is called Flipmine for a reason. That means, like mining, there's going to be a lot of, you getting dirty, getting down and trying to find the good stuff. There's definitely gold nuggets there, but you have to work for it. It's not just going to pop up, nor are there hundreds of books like this a day. You have to be lucky, but you also have to put in the reps. You definitely have to click through and do the work, read the Keepa graphs so that you can find some good books. So, here's one that interests me because of this difference in price. You can see that the eBay price is $59.95. You can see that the lowest inferred offer is about $91. So I'm going to go ahead and click through, open up the eBay and the Amazon listing. And then you can come over here and make sure that this is in fact the correct book for $59.95. And then I can come over here to Amazon. And what you notice on Amazon is that the lowest price on Amazon is about $60.90. So definitely not a major discount, but what we can do is go down to the Keepa chart and do a little bit of analysis. So one thing that I noticed again is that if we look at that black use line, for the most part, it's pretty healthy, right? Down here at the lowest that it's ever been, when the offer count down here was a little bit higher. It's right around like 45 to 50 bucks, but otherwise it has been higher. And definitely during August, September were We had textbook season, and the sales rank had this stereotypical U shape where it was selling great because the sales rank dropped, that this thing was moving for well over $100. So the question is, can you make money on this if you were to buy it for $59.95? Well, again, what you could do is you can come over here to Seller Amp. You can use a calculator here, $59.95. If you wanted to estimate what you can sell this at, you might say, hey, I think I can sell this for $80. And obviously, if you sell for $80, you're not going to make profit. So you got a couple of options here. Either you can contact the seller and ask if they would do maybe 15 or 20% cheaper, or you can just move on. In this case, this doesn't really look like an amazing deal for me, so I'm just going to move on. Now, if I scroll down a little bit further, I see that we have this financial accounting book. You can see that the lowest eBay price right now is 27. The inferred lowest Amazon price is 107. And the profit would be $126 and 451%. Now, again, these values usually are going to be inaccurate, but if this is an indicator of this book being worth something, I definitely want to open it up because it is a potential lead and it could pan out. So factually over here on eBay, it is $27.95. But unfortunately, when you come over to Amazon, you can see it's as low as $13. Now, probably the reason why Flipmine is being thrown off right now is because the buy box price of this book is $190. So one thing we want to do is see if that buy box is justifiable. Is it actually $190? Is that what it's going to move for? And of course, the best way to do that is just to look at the Keepa graph. So if we come down to the Keepa graph and we look at that black line again, which is the lowest use price, you notice it's all over the place. Back here in March and May, you can see it's as low as $1.24. And then you can actually see in July and September, this book was actually moving for a little bit more. So you got to sell here at 45, a sell at 68, another one at 50. So this book has potential to sell for significantly more than $1, but definitely, I would highly doubt anyone's going to be moving this for $189. Maybe a much more reasonable buy box price would be around 45, 50, 55 maybe. But, this is a book that just generally doesn't even hold much value, because if you look at basically the data of this book the last couple of years, it's basically bottom out right around $2 or $3. So clearly, this is not a book that holds a lot of value. Now, scrolling down a little bit further, I see this Elvis Presley book. It looks like we can pick it up for $54 on eBay. Preferred lowest offer is $92 on Amazon, and that would leave us with 109% ROI, which again, probably completely inaccurate. But again, the point of Flipmine is to feed us leads. It's our job to then look at the Keepa graph to make sure that we're buying a book that's actually good. So $49.05 plus $5 shipping. Again, we head over here to the Amazon page. Clearly, the lowest use price is about $33, but probably what's throwing this off again is the buy box price is quite inflated right now. Take a look at the Keepa graph, and one thing that you notice is that this book has actually only sold a few times, and it's kind of sold in the cluster back here in December. Before then, it wasn't even selling at all. Look a little bit further back in a time, and when you see when this book was moving and when the sales rank was a lot lower, it's right around the time when a third-party news seller was selling this for around $37. So clearly, this book has some value, but definitely not up here when people are trying to sell for $190 or even $130. So in my opinion, this is probably right around what the book is worth, so I'm going to pass on this. All right, everybody, that's all I got for you. Again, if you want to support the channel, easiest way to do that is to get a free Flipmine trial, a free Seller Amp trial. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.